Hello, and welcome to another Ask Ben W. This is a series where I answer one question on each trip from where I park my car to when I get to the office. This question comes from Sherry Wigman, who is a teacher within Denver Public Schools, and she asked me, what is one program, or the one program, that I used in my classroom that I would recommend for every teacher? Now, before I answer this question, I just want to preface it with the idea that there is no silver bullet, no single program that I can recommend that will work for everyone. What I actually recommend is that, really, that every single tool that you might use is the right one for the job. Because there are some tools that work for some parts of the classroom that don't work for others, or work for some classrooms or some teachers that don't work for other classrooms and teachers. And so that's my big caveat, is nothing works for everybody. I can tell you the one thing that I would recommend that everyone at least try is blogging. And it sounds super basic and like 2007, but it is the one thing that I found to be the most compelling evidence for why connecting matters, why creating portfolios with students matters, why allowing for time in your day to reflect and to have students reflect upon their work and share their work, why it matters. And so that's the biggest thing for me, is if you get them started on Blogger or WordPress or even a Google Sites page with the announcements, because that creates an RSS feed and actually looks a heck of a lot like a blog. All of those things allow a student to create an ongoing portfolio. And the reason why I find it so compelling, it's so sort of wonderful for the ongoing practice throughout the year, is the structure of blog is such that your newest and potentially best learning is always at the top. The thing that you just learned about, the thing that you're most excited about, is up at the top. And as you learn more and more, it pushes the other things down at the bottom. But the structure of a blog is so that it actually encourages linking to those previous ideas and to those previous projects and to those previous learnings. And so when you set up student blogs or have students set them up for themselves, not only are they creating the ongoing portfolio, but they're actually networking their learning. They're linking from one idea to the next. But the latest and greatest and most interesting to them, the thing that they are most passionate about at any given moment, is always going to be up at the top, and you're going to be able to see that. It also helps that the fact that you can actually, subscribe to everything and see the latest from everyone across all of your students. It also works out really nicely that they are collecting their portfolio information and that you don't have to do those kinds of things. Now, there are a lot of things that have happened to blogging since I started doing that around, 2004, 2005. But for the most part, the structure is the same. It isn't something that has changed a lot over the last decade. And there's a lot of value in that, right? Like we're not trying to find the newest tiny little widget thing. We are talking about writing. And I guess I would advocate for everyone to be writing, because that's one of the strongest ways of ensuring that your students can communicate with one another, that they can express themselves, and it's across all curriculums. It really does cut across, and the ability to write and the ability to communicate and express yourself as a student is massive within every single content area. And so I guess that's my suggestion. That would be the one program. Look at the different ways in which students can create that portfolio where they are constantly sharing and reflecting. I guess I'm going to end it with what happened when I did it, when I started blogging with my students. So the very first blog that I started with my students was actually so that they could write essays. So this was the winter of 2004, spring of 2005, when I was encouraging them to write their essays, to draft their essays on Blogger. I had them post, their first draft. And it was the first time that I had students comment on one another's drafting before it sort of went to the published version. So I had them all publish, and then we went down to the computer lab. And in the computer lab, I had everybody pull up their post on different computers. So it was everybody was on a different computer, and they had pulled up their post. And so I had students walk around to the different computers, and I, had them switch up and provide comments. So they would log in as themselves and then comment on the post. And then they would log out and go on to the next one. And it was that format, the idea that they were moving, the idea that they were commenting and creating sort of this authentic purpose for the writing that was on the screen, that made the writing so much better. So that was the second essay writing unit that I had taught that year. And it was amazing to see the difference between the first writing unit that we did and this one, where they had a real audience and a real purpose for their writing. And when they had that, the writing got better. And I could attribute it to me becoming a better teacher, but what I actually attribute it to is that the students found themselves in a place to instruct, found themselves in a place to give authentic feedback and to actually learn with one another. And so that is what I experienced. Now, your experiences may vary, but that's what I would recommend if you are looking for something to try, looking for a gateway drug into connected learning. And I think that it stays with me because of how powerful those experiences were. So thank you so much for your question, Shiri. If you'd like to ask me a question, please just use the hashtag AskBenW, or you can comment on any one of the videos that have already been posted, and I'll try and answer it next time. Talk to you soon.